Hi guys, it's Charla from That Girl Cooks Healthy. So today I'm going to show you how to make this super simple cauliflower rice. This is a great rice alternative and it's also great for anybody who wants to lose any weight. So these are the ingredients that you need. I have some cauliflower, a head of cauliflower. This is about a medium-sized cauliflower that you're going to need for this recipe. I also have some olive oil. I have some pink salt. I have some seasoning as well. Just to make the cauliflower rice have some taste to it. So I have some parsley, I have some garlic granules, and I have some onion granules. But you can add any type of herb or any type of spice that you want to. If you have a preference for any herbs and spices, then go ahead and add those. If you don't want to add any herbs or spices to your cauliflower rice, then you can go ahead and just leave that and just cook the cauliflower rice and just leave it as that. So I'm going to start by removing the base and the leafy parts of the cauliflower. Just going to discard that bit because we don't need that for the recipe. So I'm just using a knife just to remove those parts, and it's fairly easy to remove that with a knife. It shouldn't be too difficult. And I'm also just cutting away any parts of the cauliflower that doesn't look good as well. And this is really easy to do, guys. It doesn't take very long, or it's definitely not something that's overcomplicated as well to do this process. So now that I've removed the base of the cauliflower, I'm just going to chop the cauliflower in half, and from there I'm going to chop it into smaller pieces because I need to break this down even further using a food processor. So you really want to make sure that these pieces are small enough that they can go in your food processor. How small really depends on the strength of your food processor. So you definitely want it to be on the smaller side and not huge chunks. And I'm just going to continue to do that, and then I'm going to do that as well to the other half of the cauliflower. So now that I've chopped the cauliflower into small pieces, I need to wash the cauliflower. So I'm just going to put the pieces into a colander, and this is going to make it so much easier when it comes to washing it thoroughly. As opposed to just putting it in a bowl or something and then just washing it. So if you have a colander, I definitely recommend putting the pieces into that and washing it that way. So now it's time to wash our cauliflower, and I'm just going to sprinkle some baking soda onto the cauliflower. That's just something that I like to do with all of my vegetables, just to make sure it has a good thorough clean. And then once I have done that, I'm going to use my hands just to work that baking soda into the cauliflower and just give the cauliflower a really good thorough wash. So you want to make sure that it's completely clean, and also if you're adding baking soda, you want to make sure that it's completely gone before you move on to the next step. So this will take just a few minutes just to ensure that it's really clean and good to go. So now that the cauliflower is clean and it's dried off, I'm going to add it to the food processor. How I do this is in batches because you don't want to overcrowd your food processor, so you only want to add a small amount. So you may need to do this in 2 or 3 batches depending on the size of your food processor. So just add a small amount and then process it, and then repeat that step. So this is what the first batch of cauliflower looks like, and I'm going to add some more to my food processor, and I'm going to break down the rest of the cauliflower and turn that into a fine meal as well. So guys, this is how our cauliflower rice should look. There should be no unevenness, there should be no large lumps, it should be the same texture, and you want to just double check that before you remove it from your food processor and start to cook the cauliflower rice. So now I'm going to heat up a frying pan, and then I'm going to add just a small amount of olive oil. You only want just enough to cook the cauliflower rice. You shouldn't need too much to do the cooking process. So now that the olive oil has heated through, I'm going to add my cauliflower rice to my frying pan. And then I'm just going to cook the cauliflower through. It's going to take just a few minutes for the cauliflower to cook through. Some people have their cauliflower rice in its raw state, but that's not something that I really care for, so I'm cooking mine, and this, as I said, will take the raw edge off the cauliflower rice. So now that my cauliflower rice has cooked through, it's time to add some seasoning to it. As I said, you can add whatever herbs and spices you prefer, but I am going to just add the ones that I mentioned at the beginning. So that's the parsley, the garlic powder, and the onion powder. And I'm also going to follow that up with some pink salt to give it some taste so it doesn't taste too fresh. But you know, add whatever you feel to yours. And I'm just going to fold that in. This is my favorite way of making cauliflower rice because, you know, being Caribbean, growing up with rice as a staple, this is something that I like as an alternative, and it's healthy too. So this is how your cauliflower rice should look. You can add it with your meat, you can add it with beans if you're vegan, any type of Caribbean dish or any other dish that you want to add it to. Thank you so much for watching. The link to this recipe will be in the description box, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.